So we imagine we've already got to the state where the million people are in the square. They've managed to ignite a protest. And now the ball passes from the people in the square to me, the dictator on the balcony. What do I do? And what I want to do is obviously get people to disperse out of the square rather than crash the whole system down. So I could say to them, don't worry, go home. I've heard your message. I feel your pain. Tomorrow will be much better. The problem with that jam tomorrow promise is it isn't very credible. We're back with a problem we've already come across in Module 1. It's the time consistency problem. Remember, we last encountered it when the thug wanted to borrow money from the wealthy, and they weren't stupid. They could see if they lent that money, there was no need for him to pay it back. And now we're in a similar position. I'm the dictator on the balcony, you're the crowd in the square, and I say, go home, things will be better tomorrow. And you're not fools. You know, once you go home, you've lost your power over me, because it'll be very hard to reconvene in that square. My security police will make sure of that. And so you've got to get something that is credible, otherwise you pull the whole house down. That is my problem as the dictator. I've got to try and say something that is credible. That's the time consistency problem. And as with that leader trying to borrow money, the Habsburgs trying to borrow money in their fight against the Netherlands, the leader has got too much power for his own good. In his own interest, he needs to shed power, and he needs to do it fast. Think of Ceausescu on the balcony in the square in Bucharest. There are the million people in the square, and Ceausescu doesn't manage to find the words which are credible and which people can trust, and they go home. Instead, they string him up, and the next day he's dead. So, pretty high stakes here to come up with something that's credible. And here we move to the suggestion of Acemoglu and Robinson as to what can the leader say on that balcony that's credible. He has to make some commitment which ties his hands. And the move that Acemoglu and Robinson, I think, quite plausibly suggest is that what he's got to commit to is that they're going to have the vote. There's going to be an election, and they're going to have the vote. Maybe the society's already had elections, but the only people with the vote are the rich. That's if we've moved to the idea that it's safe for the rich to lend to the leader because the rich are running the parliament. If there's already a parliament, but only the rich have the vote, the dictator's got to stand on that balcony and say, from now on, you all have the vote. There'll be an election on such and such a date, which better not be long, very far away, and in that election, you'll have the vote. That's his best hope, because that's then a very clearly monitorable commitment. If there isn't an election on that day, if they don't get the vote, everybody knows about it. That's the situation where it's very easy for them to get back in that square. And next time, they won't mess about. And so that's the credible commitment, extending the franchise. That's the process which shifts power decisively, irreversibly, from the thug and his elite to ordinary people. That's democratization coming out of pressure.